Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie, host and head bookologist here at the Get Literate podcast. I'm a book loving, notebook hoarding reader and writer on a mission to change lives one book and one notebook at a time. On this podcast, we explore the power of bookology. What's that? That's the study of books and reading and notebooks and writing mixed with mindful practices and creativity to create lives we love. Here, you'll find episodes exploring the reading and writing life and how they can make our actual lives better. You'll get book recommendations and notebooking prompts around particular themes, and you'll even hear from authors and special guests who can fuel our reading and writing hearts and help us take inspired action in our own daily practices. So, grab a notebook and your TBR list, and let's get literate. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Get Literate podcast. I'm Stephanie, and I'm here with another episode on how reading and writing can help make life better. Now, last week, if you were listening in real time to the podcast, I shared a new to me and maybe new to you writing idea for your notebook that can do all sorts of things. It can help you release stored emotion. It can help you gain clarity, get unstuck, find a new perspective, and even prepare for a difficult real life conversation. That episode explored writing letters in your notebook that you will never send. Well, this week, I want to talk about a new to me and maybe new to you genre that can help you appreciate how books can help us heal even more. Now, before I introduce that genre, I kind of have to give you a PSA about it, a public service announcement, that explains how I found it. So, I had no idea that you can get food poisoning from beans. Did you know this? Because I did not know this. Now, over this past weekend, I attempted to cook dinner. I do not cook. I don't cook very well. I really have no particular interest in cooking. I would much rather bake, but I'm getting that I'm getting that emotional urge. I'm getting that emotional fear of, oh my goodness, the last of my two kids are going off to college in the fall. We won't have a whole lot of dinners anymore. What am I going to do? I need to cook something. So I looked up a recipe and it happened to just come through my Facebook feed and it looked really good. It was this red bean lentil flatbread that you could make and kind of shape into pancakes almost. And you could use it for sandwich bread. You could use it as pizza dough. You could use it as all sorts of things. And I thought, oh, I think my daughter and I would like that. Being gluten-free, that is the perfect thing for us to try. So I did try it and I followed the directions exactly. I got the dried light red kidney beans. I soaked them for 3 hours. I blended them up with the oil and the spices, and then I cooked them as if they were pancakes on the griddle, 3 to 4 minutes on each side to make sure they were thoroughly cooked. And I got to tell you, they were delicious. We turned them into these little pizza flatbreads with vegetables and ground turkey, and it was really, really good. Cue a couple of hours later, and both of us are not feeling well. And then a couple of hours after that, both of us are sick. And a couple of hours after that, we are really, really sick. And my daughter came downstairs in the middle of the night where I was sitting on the couch not feeling well. And she jokingly said, Mom, did you poison us or something? Did you use an expired ingredient? What is going on? I was like, I did not poison us. I think maybe we just have sensitive stomachs. Well, it turns out I did poison us because I went to the internet and searched, can red beans give you food poisoning? And it turns out if they are not cooked properly, they can because they have a toxin called lectin in them. Unless that lectin is cooked out properly, you get sick. So apparently 3 hours of soaking and a couple of minutes on each side just wasn't enough. If you ever decide to cook raw beans yourself, make sure they're soft. Any crunchiness means you could get sick. So there I was on the couch, feeling terrible that I literally did food poison my daughter and I. I took us out for a whole weekend. But I kept Googling, and I Googled, how do you feel better during food poisoning? How long does food poisoning last? How can you recover from toxic red beans? I was just Googling all sorts of things to try to put us out of our misery. And I stumbled upon this one book that was recommended. And it turns out that this book was a graphic novel that was explaining someone else's kind of foodborne illness experience. And I went, there's a graphic novel for that? I always say there's a book for that, right? There's a book for anything that we are going through. But I really didn't expect to see a graphic novel on this topic. And so as I went to the site and I dug a little bit deeper, I found that it was part of a very niche genre, a new to me genre that might be new to you, that I think is worth exploring, especially for people listening to this podcast who truly believe that books can make life better and can help us heal. What is that genre? Graphic medicine. Graphic medicine. It is exactly what it sounds like. Graphic novels and or comics that explore health conditions. Now, if I give you the formal definition, Dr. Ian Williams, he is the forerunner of this area of wellness. He started graphicmedicine.org, and he says that graphic medicine is the intersection between the medium of comics and the discourse of healthcare. And basically, we can use comics and graphic novels to tell personal stories of illness and health to help others. I mean, mic drop, right? Talk about books helping you heal. Here we go. Graphic novels and comics to help tell our personal stories of illnesses and health so that we can get our stories out and perhaps help someone else going through something similar and wondering what to do next. So, of course, I'm stuck on the couch. I might as well do a deep dive into this new to me genre. And I learned that graphic novels and comics are particularly right for telling our medical stories, for telling our health stories, because you've got this combination of modalities. You have the language of words, right, that all of us listening to this podcast love, but you also have pictures and images, and that gives the book an approachability, right? If you are going through something really hard in your health, what might you pick up? The really big fat textbook about your condition, or the graphic novel told by someone who's living with and through your condition, right? It is much more approachable, just like many readers feel that graphic novels and comics are much more approachable than longer prose in general. Because of that combination of language and words, because of that approachability, these books have more potential to have an emotional impact on us. Now, I would say that applies to all readers, right? Because we have the words, we have the images right there, and we don't have to do a lot of work to picture it in our head. But if you are a reader that prefers the visual medium, that thrives on the visual medium, that loves imagining the story in your mind, that needs visuals to think and feel and learn, well, then this is going to have an even more emotional impact for you. But the exciting thing, especially for the doctors who are spearheading this whole area, is that these books can help share clinical data too. It can share data about the disease or the condition. It can share data about the treatment of the disease and the condition. It can show people where to go for help and how to get it and what their next steps might be in a way that they may not be receptive to or might not find in your traditional methods. So there are so many things that graphic medicine can do beyond just giving us a great reading experience. This genre has a place in wellness and healthcare overall. Now, if you are the patient, these graphic novels will likely help you feel seen. Someone else with your condition is grappling with your condition. Someone else is living through it. Someone else is getting to the other side beautifully. Someone else found the help that they needed. On the other side, if you are not the patient, but you are their family, you are the friend, or you're even the healthcare worker, You can get an inside view of what your patient might be going through, might be feeling, and give you a broader perspective. Let you have that empathy, let you get that understanding that can just help you be a better part of a care team or a friendship or a family overall. So these graphic novels, whether you are feeling seen as a patient or you are seeing what you need to see as an outside person, these graphic novels can tell the story of an illness or an experience that can help you connect, right? We are seeing, like literally seeing with the comics firsthand, what these characters are going through. But by putting these kinds of experiences down, and the stats aren't lying, there are so many people in the United States alone who are grappling with a mental challenge, a mental illness, a physical illness, a chronic illness, right? We're all going through stuff. And by putting that stuff into a book, into an accessible way where many people might pick it up, it helps give a bit of normalcy to it. It helps destigmatize whatever it is. It helps us not be biased about it. It helps us learn. It helps us grow. It helps us understand. It gives us the perspective of the patient, right? In the comics and the graphic novels that are actually written by the patient going through the thing. But there are also some books in this graphic medicine category that are written by the family members, the friends, the healthcare workers. And so we can get a full, well-rounded experience that helps us empower each other to tell a story and maybe write a different one for ourselves based on what we're learning. So this graphic medicine is a reading genre, but that means it's also a writing genre. And patients, people, anyone really, you can use this medium to help explore, express, share whatever it is you're going through to empower yourself and literally find another way to tell your story. Now, there are all sorts of medical conditions that are already represented in graphic novels. I truly had no idea. I knew about one. Well, actually, I knew about a couple, but I didn't think about them as graphic novels. This idea of a graphic novel talking about a hard time in a medical condition was first brought to me by Claire Lordan. Claire Lordan is the author of One in a Million. It's this beautiful purple, gray, black um, graphic novel that discusses her experience from childhood and beyond with a brain tumor. I was so impacted by this book. I was so emotionally blindsided by this book. And I was lucky enough to have a chance to talk to Claire on my Kidlit Love podcast about it. But I still didn't realize that this was just the tip of an iceberg, the tip of a brand new genre I could wade into. So looking at the different conditions that are represented, and I highly recommend you go to graphicmedicine.org and you just start browsing the books that are there. If you are going through cancer, if you have a chronic illness, if you have an eating disorder, if you have a mental health struggle, all of those things already have graphic novels that have been written, right? And it's our job to keep the genre going and to share how important it is to us so that people still feel compelled to tell their stories. So I just want to give you a handful of books you might consider, but please go on graphicmedicine.org and just poke around and see what you find. Now, some of these are children's literature and some of these are adult literature, but I feel like no matter what, it's a good place to start with Kidlit, right? Because we all have inner children, and when we are sick or going through something hard, those inner children come out. So one book that instantly comes to mind is Guts by Raina Telgemeier. Guts is about childhood anxiety. It is about anxiety around food. It is about stomach issues and anxiety. It is around other mental health issues and anxiety. It encompasses a lot of things that many kids might be going through. I think all of her books, actually, in her series, touch on something hard that kids can find comfort in her books, but Guts comes to mind and is on the list on the graphic medicine sites. Now, I'd like to add Pause to this conversation. PAWS. It is an early middle grade series about a group of girls who are dog walkers and have a dog walking club. It's reminiscent of the Babysitter's Club, but for a younger reading set. And one of them is about Hazel, and Hazel gets around in a wheelchair. And so in that story, we get to see Hazel and what that means. Accommodations she deserves, the things that she doesn't deserve, the comments, the looks, all the things. We get that in Pause. I already mentioned Claire Lordan's One in a Million. That is about a young girl going through the traumatic event of learning and recovering from a brain tumor. If you want an adult graphic novel around mental health, one of the top recommended books is called Marbles: Mania, Depression, Michelangelo, and Me by Ellen Forney. And it is about an exploration into bipolar conditions. Now, the last one that's highly recommended is called Cancer Vixen. Cancer Vixen by Marissa, I hope I say this right, Acasella Marchetto. Remember, all of these books are in the show notes, and it is about her journey through breast cancer. So whatever it is you're going through, there is a book for that, but there might be a graphic novel for that. It has touches of memoir genre, touches of biography and autobiography, but it adds in that visual form, which gives us that approachability, that emotional impact that could just help some of us readers really slip into that story even more, which means we might help ourselves even more. We might help support someone else we love even more. So that is my challenge for you this week, is to consider reading a graphic medicine book. Head online, look at all of the different books that are already published, and see if there's a book that could be for you. Maybe for you personally, or maybe for you finding out a perspective for someone that you love and care for. So this is just another example, another way that books can help us heal. And I hope learning about graphic medicine helps you do just that. So thanks for listening to this episode, everyone. I hope this new to me genre is perhaps new to you and will enrich your reading life in the coming week. See you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Get Literate podcast. You'll find links to all the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. And if you want more, you might like to join my Patreon community. There, you'll find additional inspiration for your reading and writing life, like bonus podcast episodes, book calendars, monthly book clubs, notebooking inspiration, live events, giveaways, and more. It's only $5 a month, and you get instant access to all of the previous content too. Learn more at getliterate.co. And one more thing, if you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow, and it builds our bookish and notebookish community too. Thanks for listening.